back to another live video with me, Mercedes, at HR for Millennials. I am so glad that you all could join us today. And if you saw any of my announcements before, you know that today we are talking about overcoming fear in your career. And just want to make sure everybody's going on. Looks like both Facebook and Instagram were good this time. I had a little technical difficulties last week, so I'm excited that all is smooth for now. But of course, hi Solano, welcome to the live. But of course, I think that for a lot of us, in a lot of ways, we're limited by, different limiting beliefs that we have in our lives. It's really keeping us to getting to where we need to be professionally, reaching our career goals, and we know that since you're following me and we're together, we are both really professional and ambitious millennial professionals. So we have certain goals that we want to achieve, right? And I want to take this time to, like I said, everything for me that I learned in my professional life, I want to share with you all. And so there's been something that I've definitely been addressing myself. And so one of those has been recent fear due to my, my professional life changing a ton. And I want to know from you all in the comments, what fears are you feeling in your career? What's getting you worried about your job, or worried about maybe getting a new job or reaching your career goals? Really, what is affecting you on a day-to-day basis that you think is really keeping you back from where you need to be? So for me, I'm going to talk about mine. I promised that I was going to talk about my personal fears that I've been dealing with lately and trying to overcome. Everybody does it. You could be at the very top of a company. You could be the CEO. You could be running companies and just still feel that fear. And so it's normal. So take that as the first thing. That fear is definitely normal. Everybody feels it, even if they're doing a good job. So definitely just take this and really align your fears with that. Don't be so hard on yourself if you do have fears in your career. So here's my story, right? Of course, you all know I've been a human resources generalist for the last 3 years. And the company that I work for is growing a lot in lots of good ways. There's all great growth. Hey Bear, hi on Instagram. And the company's growing a lot, and really it's shifted a lot of my responsibilities, and so much so that it was almost really difficult for me to really stay on top of everything. It wasn't really that I was doing a bad job or anything like that, but it's just so much going on. So we had to hire another person for our department. And my fear was that the individual that we hired was a great hire. She's adding a lot of value to the team already, but I felt like, oh my gosh, what if she does that part of my job so much better than I did? And, they decide like I'm not a good fit or anymore. They don't really value me anymore because she's delivering that big, important part of my job that I'm no longer delivering. And it really made me fearful and made me think about, well, how will the perception of me, will I still be valuable? Will I still like working here? Will I, will my team members still come to me as a resource in that way? And so that was something that I really had to work through to feel better about my job and the future of my career, right? And so I'm going to pause really quick because I got a couple more people on Facebook. Sorry to keep see me look that way. My computer's over there and the camera's here. But I really want to know in the comments because I want to address them later if you're okay with that, and kind of help you also overcome the fears in the same way that I have in the recent weeks. I want to hear, what is that fear that you're going through? I want to know what you're feeling specifically about your career. Like, is it interviewing? Is it promotions? Is it new responsibilities? Is it being replaced? Is it not feeling like you're not qualified enough? So I want to hear all of those things in the comments. Please let me know because I want to address them on the live. So you guys always know I like numbered lists, right? Like last week it was 4 ways what the live was. It was 4 ways. This way, it is 5 ways that you can overcome your fear in your career, and this is a 5-step kind of thing, right? And so the first one is identifying those limiting beliefs. So you can't really address them, right? If you never take the time to learn what's keeping you back, what you're fearful of, because it will really stand in the way if you're not really addressing the right fears, right? How can you tackle a problem if you don't know what the problem is? And so the first thing that you want to do is get in your head, check in with yourself, figure out what is the fear that I'm dealing with right now. And for me, it was losing respect at the end of it. And so I felt like if I wasn't providing the value that I was before, I was going to lose respect for my team, and then it was just going to go everything after that was going to go tumbling down, right? Like I wasn't going to be respected. I wasn't going to get promotions. Like all these things were just going to suddenly stop because somebody else is doing part of my job, right? And I had to really check in with myself and realize that's why I was feeling so upset about everything that was going on. And so that's the first thing, just checking in with yourself and identifying those beliefs. So once you've done that, I think that's really the hardest thing, right? Being honest with yourself is really hard. And the second thing that you want to do, and this is a big part of it, is challenging those beliefs. So you have to ask yourself two questions, I think, two questions that I ask myself. One of them is, what proof do you have that this belief is false or that it's true? What have I done in my career so far that would truly mean that I wouldn't provide value anymore? Well, the truth is absolutely nothing. I provide value every single day. And it was completely irrational for me to think that suddenly, just because somebody else was here, that I wasn't going to continue providing value. That's not who I am as a professional, so that would never happen. And I had to really be honest with myself of what evidence in my daily life at work would support this belief. And I had to realize that it's not a real belief. It's just a limiting belief. It's a limit that I put on myself, my ability to succeed, and my ability to reach my career goals, right? Just because I was uncomfortable. And you have to really check in and find out, are these real beliefs that you have? Is there evidence there? Can you back up that belief? Or are they limiting beliefs and they're false and they're just you keeping yourself stuck where you are and controlled by fear? So that's one question. The other question is, do I really believe that? So once you've figured out, if you looked at your proof and you've assessed where you're going, what's going on, you have to ask yourself, do I really believe that now that I've looked at the belief, that I've analyzed the belief? Is that something that I want to continue holding on to? And if it's fear, it's so likely that it's not. For me, I knew that there was no reason. I know time and time again, I'm going to do a great job at anything that I do. And I knew that because of that, that wasn't a belief that I could continue holding on to. I had to move on. I had to figure out a way to challenge that and stop thinking that way, because it's not helpful for me. And in the long run, I don't need it. It's irrelevant. It's a silly fear that made me nervous at work and anxious and angry for no reason, right? So that's the second step. Challenge your beliefs. And I've also got a couple more people on the live again. Welcome, welcome. And I also want to say, if you weren't here in the beginning, I really want you to put your comments in, send me a comment about what your limiting beliefs are, and I want to help you address them if you feel comfortable. So I'm sharing with you, so it's got to be a two-way street here. I'm going to peer pressure you into the commenting. All right, so my third one is that the next thing you got to do is reframe your beliefs, right? So like we said, there's two different types of beliefs, right? There are true beliefs and there are limiting false beliefs. And what you want to do is reframe those false beliefs into ones that you believe are true, based on the evidence, right? It's not just some subjective emotional thing, it's based on the evidence. And so one question that you can ask yourself is, what would happen if I chose not to believe that? What would be the opposite of that? What would be, for me, right? What my fear shouldn't be, what if I don't provide value and people don't value me anymore and I lose my job? Really, the belief is, what if this person adding to the team allows me to do my job better overall, because I have the capacity to do my best work every day, because I have the bandwidth for that now. And what if I begin to start doing better projects? I start managing more things. I start managing people, because I've had that time to kind of, I have that more free time to better do better quality work, to take on more things that are more in my interests, and that I can grow in that way. So that's the opposite of that belief, right? I've just kind of completely turned that around, and I've made this thing that I thought might be my downfall become an opportunity for something better. And I think all of us can do that in our careers on a daily basis. If we really check in with ourselves, if we really think about it hard and look at really our track records and what we're able to do on a daily basis, I think you'll quickly find out that you're able to challenge those beliefs and reframe them into more positive things. And speaking of positivity, we're on to number 4, and that is think positive in general, right? A lot of us, when we have these limiting beliefs and we have this fear that's holding us back from what we could really be, our full potential, we start to think negatively, right? All of those things that you heard me talking about when I was fearful about my job and wondering where we were going and all this change, none of those were positive thoughts. They were all negative, and there was a reason that I was feeling the way that I was, right? And so if you begin to replace that negativity with more positive thoughts, the ones that I just addressed, like what if I get to do more things? What if I learn more skills? What if I become better? What if I provide more value because I can do this? Those are all super positive things. And I know you all have seen my journal quite a few times, right? But I think one of the great ways that you can begin to replace that negativity with the positivity is to first surround yourself with positive, right? I know a lot of you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I post a lot of hopefully things that you find inspirational, things that help you continue to strive to be the best, to be the best professional you can be for where you're at and where you're going, right? And so one thing that I use to make sure that I remain positive is that I have stickers and little quotes and, little pieces on my desk of very motivational things that help me remember where I am and what I'm doing and why I do it, and helps me reconnect with that sense of passion and creativity and love for my job, right? And so one of the things that I have is my journal. You guys have seen it. I'm always showing you all my journal. It just comes up. It's journaling is great. Sorry, not my journal, my planner. Planner is life, right? And so one of the things I have on here is the only limits in life are the ones you make. And when I saw this and I remembered, you see it every day, and sometimes you don't always think too deeply about it because it's on your everyday basis. But had I taken the moment to really let this quote sink in, that would have reminded me that, listen, lady, you are addressing all of these terrible negative thoughts on a daily basis, and you're limiting yourself. Those are the only thing holding you back is yourself, especially if it's fear. If it's not something like you need more skills or you need, some concrete stuff, like you gotta work on your interviewing, that's another story. Those are things that you can progress and you can fix. But if it's your mental blocks keeping you away from where you need to be and where you need to go, that's a whole nother story, right? So think about it as it's not just what you're thinking, but it's what you're limiting by your thoughts, right? You're not just limiting, how you feel or what you can do. You're limited where you can go when you start thinking like that. So surround yourself with positivity to start thinking more positive. Another thing is automatic thoughts. I'm kind of going back to my, psychology days where, a lot of things are just negative thoughts that you keep, going over and over and over again. And eventually you've programmed yourself to just think negatively all the time. And it's so easy to do that because it's the worry, it's the fear there. But I want to challenge you to do one of the things that I've done in my life that's helped me a lot is challenge the negative thoughts with another positive thought every time you have a negative thought. And that's what I've done. So one way is, my favorite way to do this is what if statements. And I do this a lot. It's also on my planner, right? So my fear was, what if I lose my job because I'm not providing value, right? And the other side of that, the better, more positive what if statement is, what if I have so much time to come up with great ideas and do great things that I deliver so much value that I get a promotion or I get a raise or whatever that might be. it's a different way. It's a different way to really address the things that you have going on negatively in a more positive way. So as soon as you have a negative thought, rephrase that into a positive. And my favorite way is to do that is with a what if statement. So try that out. And if you're on, I want to hear one thing. I'm really going for it, guys. I need comments here. I'm gonna peer pressure you all into the comments. But what I want to hear, I don't want you to necessarily share your fears if that's what's keeping you from commenting. But I want to say, if you're on the live, then write a what if statement that's positive for yourself and what you're going through right now. So write in there like, what if I get a promotion? What if I get the job? What if I'm a great interviewer? What if my resume is beautiful? What if I overcome every challenge in my career? I want to see you all put at least one of those in the comments so I can read it. And the last step is to take action. So the biggest way to overcome fear and continue to provide yourself proof that those limiting thoughts are not really keeping you back, that you can do everything that you set out to do today and tomorrow and for the rest of your career is to take action on those things. So if you feel that you can't get a new job, go ahead and get that new job. Go ahead and get your resume out there and start applying and take action, real action on those things that you want to do, those big goals. Start now. And then when you realize that you hit that goal, you'll be surprised, and that will never be a limiting belief for you ever again. So start now and just act. Just take small little actions, small little goals, and go from there. And one thing that I think a lot of people have is very fearful about, what I've noticed, is interviewing. And so I wanted to, hey there, welcome to the live. One thing that I think a lot of people have a lot of fear about is interviewing. They feel like, their interviewing skills aren't strong and they don't really know how to, move forward based upon that because they feel like it's seriously limiting them. And so one way that you can do that is to start doing mock interviews, right? You can start finding ways to practice. And that's such a simple little action that can really help you get to the next level in that way by addressing your fears and making real action based upon that. So I saw Aaron post a comment in the Facebook group. Sorry if I'm looking this way, I'm reading the comment. So he said, how must someone address the fear of the unknown for those transitioning from college to career? So that, that's definitely, that's a valid fear, I gotta say, for every college kid. Like, even for me, I think the biggest fear for every college kid is, my gosh, I don't want to be like one of those kids, who have to go back home after college because, they didn't get a job. And so that's definitely a huge fear that I dealt with, and I think most college kids deal with. So really, how you address that fear is that you challenge it. And the challenge is, well, I've done everything to get through college. I've done everything to get into college. I've gotten a job in college. I've achieved these big projects. I've been involved in all these other things that I've done great at, that I've been an achiever, right? And so that's your belief. That's addressing the belief right there, because in that moment, you know that thus far you have achieved everything that you wanted to do. And why is this something else that's going to keep you at? Why suddenly, if it's just this transition, you're suddenly not going to be able to achieve what you have set out to do? And I believe that if you made it this far, you're going to keep going, right? And so that's the challenge of that. It's like, no, I've done everything that I've wanted to do. I've reached every goal, and this is just another one, and it might be daunting, and it might be big, and I might have to work really hard, but I know eventually I'm going to get there. And then you're going to start reframing it. So instead of saying, well, I'm fearful of the unknown, you're like, I'm excited to figure out where I'm going to go. I'm excited to get that job. I'm excited to go on this interview or this networking thing because I know that's going to open doors for me. So you're going to start reframing the negative into the positive. And then, Aaron, also another way is, surround yourself with things that motivate you, right? So, look up those cool jobs that you want to do and start thinking wow, what if I was that person? What if every day I woke up and I could do whatever your dream job is? What if I could do that on a daily basis? And that way you're surrounding yourself with the positive. And a lot of ways that people do that is they create vision boards. I have a vision board, things that remind me why I'm working so hard. And then suddenly I'm not worried so much about not being able to do it. I'm focusing on getting there, and I'm focusing on getting to the goal and focused on that I don't have time to think about all the negative things. So I would encourage you to also think, Erin, what is the end goal? What is this point of celebration? What if that was me? Visualize yourself in that role, and I think you'll get there eventually. So hopefully I answered your question, Erin, and let me know in the comments if you have any more, or anybody else for that matter. Thank you, Erin, for the comment. So I've shared your story with me, and going back to wanting to, get over those big fears in your career, right? I've noticed that a lot of people, like I said, have a real fear about interviewing, and they also have a real fear about their resumes. So I really want to do this for a while, and I haven't really gotten any traction with it. So I want to offer that to you all on the live here. If you're somebody that struggles with interviewing, but you're not really shy, I want to invite you all to join my Facebook group and go in and let me know that you'd love to have a mock interview with me. So one of these lives, I want to actually have another individual on my live and really do a mock interview with them in the group. So they can get some live feedback and others can kind of learn from their interviewing as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can either, join my Facebook group and let me know, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram or Facebook if that's something that you're interested in. So I'm not only doing the mock interview, but I'm also doing a live resume review. So again, you have to be in the group to do this. That way it's just easier because it's a closed community. I don't want this live. I want to have people feel like they're in a safe place when they're getting feedback. So if you want to either do the mock interview or you want the resume review, the live resume review, please just go ahead and join the group or send me a message and I'll go ahead and get that done for you. So I have talked about everything that I wanted to talk to you all about today. So any last questions, put them in the live chat, the live comment stream, so that I can read them and hopefully give you some answers. Oh my gosh, people were talking and I didn't see them. All right, Rod said, what can I do on a daily basis to overcome my fears? And do you recommend meditation? So great question. Definitely meditation is one of the ways that, is really great for me. I think what we were talking about a little bit before about, surrounding yourself with positivity, making sure that you are countering negative thoughts with positive thoughts and reminding yourself to do that. Also, another great way is writing. So writing down really the ways, what your aspirations are, things you're going to do to overcome. Writing down your goals and your plans, that's important. Just writing down goals makes you so much more capable of achieving them and helps you focus on getting there. So those three things. And then I also, definitely meditate just to make sure that I'm remaining focused on where I want to go other than the fears. So I think if you do a combination of those, it doesn't always have to be daily, but if you think about at least one of those on a daily basis, then I think it'll help you overall. And like I said, everybody has fears. Everybody has, things that is bothering them on an everyday basis. And it's not that you'll ever get rid of your fears or you'll ever truly overcome all your fears, but it's just managing them, right? Every day I have to manage my fears and check in with self and make sure that I'm really moving in the right direction that I want to go. And part of that is challenging them on an everyday basis. So I'll go over the 5 steps one more time. So the first one is identify the limiting beliefs or the fears that are keeping you back in your career. The second one is that you want to challenge those beliefs, those false beliefs, and find out if they're really true for you. And I'm going to guess that they're not. The third one, I have more comments. The third one is to reframe your beliefs. The fourth one is to think positive, and the last one is to take action. And we have some comments from Brandon that says, what are some signs that it's time to get another job? Well, I actually had a live about that, so I'll probably comment on that later, but it's really whether or not you think that the situation can improve, whether you think you feel valued, whether or not the people that you interact with are people that you want to continue interacting with. Do you have any growth potential? There are so many different factors that go into whether or not really this position is the best position for you. So I'll put the live training is a lot more detailed, so I'll make sure I comment on that later so you can review that. And the next one was, does every company have the same problems? No, every company doesn't have the same problems because they all have different, they also have different challenges. They have different people. They have different cultures that lead to certain problems. And so, of course, every company has problems, but they're all different. And so some problems might be really manageable for you to deal with, and some of them might not. So you always have to kind of put that into perspective and always think about whether or not your future at a company fits in with your goals, especially when you think there might be other problems there. So here you go. And the last one, it says, I'm afraid to change my life only to face the same issues. Yeah, I think that's a huge fear with a lot of people, especially if they're thinking about changing jobs or careers, because you think you might be really leaving something. You know, you might get somewhere and it's worse, right? But I think that goes back to, is this a real fear? I mean, is a valid fear or a valid beliefs that you have that if you leave someplace, you always go to somewhere worse? I don't think that's usually what happens, right? People, if you really take time to make sure you're making a good decision based on culture and the company's history, and you've done your research for other people that work there, and you do that over time, I think that you can really make a good decision whether or not that company is a good fit for you in the long run. And you might not be right, you might be terribly wrong, but I think that overall, right, that's kind of more the fear talking than the actuality of that. The fact that you know what you want, and then you can go where you need to be and get there, and you can make a good decision for you no matter what. So I think you'll just have to make a good decision and do your research, and you'll just be fine. All right, so are there any other questions anywhere on Facebook or Instagram? I'm going to, of course, wait a little while for you all to offer any other questions that you might have. But if any of this sounds like you, like if you have fears about moving on, if you have fears about getting a new job, if you have fears like me about advancement when there's so much change, I've been there. I completely understand where you are, and I definitely want to talk to you. So one thing that I do for anybody who's in my community, whether Instagram, Facebook, my Facebook group, Twitter, wherever you've met me, however you've met me, I want to talk to you and get to know you all, because it's important to me that what I'm speaking about is valuable to you. So one thing that I do is that I will do a free coaching call, 30 minutes with anybody in my community in one way, shape, or form. So if you're interested, I've left actually a link on, if you're on Facebook, it's right there in the description box. If you're on Instagram, it's in my link in my bio. So you can click that link and you can sign up for a 100% free, like no pressure. I'm not going to be like, you gotta sign up for this course with me, right? I just want to connect with you all, and hopefully that 30 minutes is really valuable for you, and you can kind of move on to the next step. And one thing that we can definitely do throughout that coaching call is really figure out what those limiting beliefs are. Like, what is keeping you back? And all of this is confidential. All of this is just the communications with me. I'm not going to go share that information with you. I really just want to connect with you all, learn from you all, and grow together. So definitely schedule a call with me if this is a problem for you. So I don't see any other comments on Facebook or Instagram. But as always, you guys know you can send me a message privately. I know sometimes fears are really hard to talk about in a public form or format. You know, you're worried somebody else might see you or judge you, because that's a huge part of fear, right? And of course, you know, I'm sharing my fears with you too, and I would hate that somebody would, you know, maybe use that against me one day. I don't know. So I completely understand where y'all are coming from fear or anxiety or these beliefs that are holding you back. So please definitely send me a message if you have questions later. So thank you all for joining me for our live. I, of course, always love talking to you all, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.